Now, look, as long as Kevin Rudd's name, though, is out there, I think it's going to be very difficult for Julia Gillard to significantly improve her position in the polls. So it's worth reminding ourselves of what Kevin Rudd said just before the leadership challenge in February.
If Julia is returned on Monday, then she will have my unequivocal support between now and the next election, because we have interests way beyond individuals here.
Now, of course, she was returned at that ballot on the Monday, but then he said in the party room this, that if anyone turns on Julia in the 18 months ahead of the type I've seen reported in much of the press, Julia, you will find me in your corner against them. Now, does Joel Fitzgibbon, does Mark Bishop fit into that category of those who have offended him?
That was more of a, wasn't that a sort of a shortened memo at the time? I'm not sure that, I think there's an out clause for Joel Fitzgibbon. And
one out clause that he could claim, of course, is that he said and he didn't want retribution against any of his supporters. And then, of course, Kim Carr and McClelland and others.
Look, Barry, I think one of the most illustrative things about the position that Kevin Rudd has placed himself in now is to read the speeches that he made across the US in the last week, and I'm sure that you've seen the reports of them, where he got to Chicago, where he was addressing a group but he was acting as if he was either the Foreign Minister or the Prime Minister there. He was talking about we and us on behalf of the Australians.
Yes, but then John Howard is a former Prime Minister and he delivers similar speeches as a former Prime Minister.
If you look at Kevin Rudd's undertaking...
Kevin Rudd, excuse me, Annabelle, just one...
Oh, I will excuse you, absolutely, you're excused.
But Kevin Rudd, at this time, is just a backbencher. Just a backbencher.
And as such, is allowed to give a speech on whatever he cotton-picking well likes. So,
but not as, not on behalf of
his
us.
undertaking.
Us.
Well, he's giving a speech as a distinguished former Prime Minister, current backbencher, cat lover, Twitterer, serial contributor to children's charities,
but if you just take it
interview giver to the Australian Women's Weekly about his adorable grandchild.
Annabelle's trying to provoke me today by wearing these sandals. But if we could just take it back to policy.
You love it.
If I could take it back, leave Twitter and all that, so just go back to policy. The problem is, if you look at Andrew's poll there, the government's vote falls away when they break the promise on the carbon tax, and they've got a real problem on asylum seekers. If Kevin Rudd comes in and embraces exactly the same kind of policies, why would that change? I mean, why will getting rid of Julia Gillard and replacing Kevin Rudd after a few weeks with exactly the same policy set make any difference?
Well, the asylum seeker is his... I mean, that matter is his policies.
No, Kevin Rudd warned. When Julia Gillard became leader, Kevin Rudd warned Julia Gillard about taking the party policy on asylum seekers to the right. He said he was not going to do that. He was going to embrace the Greens' position. So he would have to change that position within a couple of years.
The Greens' position is currently Australia's effective policy on asylum seekers. I mean, and that is very largely...
Well, that's not really working so well.
Ineffective policy.
It's not actually working all that well.
Of Kevin Rudd's Prime Ministership.
Well, he will embrace a policy that's not working.
Kevin Rudd's undertaking at the beginning of this year, right, was I'm not going to be out there lobbying, I'm not going to be gingering for support, I'm just going to be minding my own business, being little old fabulous me, right? And he's been as good as his word in the sense that he hasn't been
the cover of Women's Weekly.
He hasn't been openly lobbying or carrying on. He's not going to challenge. It's only going to be brought on if a majority of the caucus decide that it's time to do that.
But he's not Julia Gillard's problem. Her policies are Labor's problems. It's the broken promise on carbon tax is essentially Labor's problems and running to that asylum seekers. I mean, Kevin Rudd's not the problem.